What a year 2020 has been. But I think the worst part is already over. Nope. This video will focus exclusively on EMRAKUL, since you, my fellow Slivers, voted her as your favorite female character in the first ever MTG Character Showdown at the Sliver Hive Facebook page. EMRAKUL triumphed over Akroma, Phage, Joyra, Elspeth Tyrell, and Liliana Vess, so now she gets to be the star. Therefore, details about the Eldrazi as a whole will be kept at a minimum in this video. If you want me to cover the lore behind the Eldrazi in full detail, don't forget to subscribe, leave a thumbs up, share this video and leave a comment below. But now, let's kick off this new section of the channel. Almost everything you ever wanted to know, but were too afraid/lazy to ask about EMRAKUL. First things first. Who is EMRAKUL as a character in MTG lore? EMRAKUL is one of the 3 Eldrazi Titans we've met so far, and she is without a doubt the biggest and meanest of these Titans. Eldrasis are interdimensional beings who come from a place called the Blind Eternities. It is not known if they were born there or they adapted to survive there, but the Blind Eternities is the space between planes. And what do you know? Eldrasis are known to sort of devour, or more precisely, consume planes. A long time ago, a trio of planeswalkers that included the vampire Sorin Markov, Nahiri the Lithomancer, and Ugin the Spirit Dragon devised a plan to trap the physical manifestations of the Eldrazi in the plane of Zendikar. And because they're just as badass as planeswalkers can get, they succeeded, thus saving the multiverse. The trio then promised to return to Zendikar should the Eldrazi cause problems again. Okay, before we continue with the story, why do we call EMRAKUL a she, by the way? The Eldrazi are basically genderless. However, the people of Zendikar, more specifically the core and the merfolk of Zendikar, based their goddesses Kamsa and Emeria respectively on long-lost memories of EMRAKUL. So that's basically why we refer to EMRAKUL as a she. We could say that EMRAKUL is, well, she's kinda curvy, I guess, and if you're into that tentacle stuff, hey, I ain't gonna judge. Thousands of years later, thanks to a hilariously impossible plan by Nicol Bolas that actually worked, the Eldrazi escaped from their prison in Zendikar, and they started doing what they do best: complete annihilation. In fact, EMRAKUL and her brood are known to leave behind yellow dust and seemingly convert the landscape into flesh and bone. EMRAKUL is also the Titan of corruption. While she does not affect inorganic matter, she twists all living and sentient beings. Silent terror wherever she soars, embodying desolation, emotional and physical distance, the chill of the void, and the terror of being alone. Yikes! I guess Annihilator 6, Flying, and Trample are not quite enough, huh? But back to the story. Sorin Markov was the only one that came to the rescue this time around. Without OG partners in crime Ugin and Nahiri, Sorin had to make an alliance with Nissa. However, Nissa, well, she is not as wise and or badass as Ugin or Sorin. So instead of helping reinforce the spell that contained the Eldrazi, she thought, oh, why don't we just free the Eldrazi entirely? Maybe they'll flee from Zendikar. This of course backfired spectacularly, and an enraged Sorin left Nissa to deal with this problem by herself. She later joined the Gatewatch, and they were able to seemingly destroy Ulamog and Kozilek in the battle for Zendikar Oath of the Gatewatch story arc. Ugin himself later confirmed that EMRAKUL had been absent from Zendikar for some time, where had she gone? Well, Zendikar is Nahiri's home plane, so when Sorin left it at the mercy of the Eldrazi after they broke out from their imprisonment, Nahiri, she was not amused. She was quite pissed, in fact. So she went to Innistrad, Sorin's own home plane, and she decided to give him a taste of his own medicine by summoning EMRAKUL to that plane. The Gatewatch later gathered in Innistrad to fight EMRAKUL, the same way they had just recently fought Ulamog and Kozilek in Zendikar. And here is where things get really interesting. EMRAKUL willingly let herself to be trapped on the moon of Innistrad, claiming that, and I quote, "I don't want to play anymore. It is not my time. Not yet." Wait, EMRAKUL can't speak? Apparently, during the climax of the battle for Innistrad, she spoke to the mind of Jace Beleren, projecting herself as none other than the merfolk goddess Emeria. Up until the making of this video, and probably for the foreseeable future, EMRAKUL will remain trapped on the moon of Innistrad, because she didn't want to play anymore and it was not her time. Not yet. That's not cryptic and scary at all, huh? The truth is that the storyline of EMRAKUL remains to be continued or concluded. Fun fact: EMRAKUL is referenced in the flavor text of 19 different cards in MTG, most of them coming from the Eldritch Moon set. EMRAKUL as a character has been represented in 2 different cards so far. The first one was EMRAKUL the Aeon Storm from the Rise of the Eldrazi set. During its time in Standard, it saw play mostly in Polymorph and Eldrazi green decks. However, it was kinda overshadowed by this other little deck called Koblith, which included Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic. Modern as a format was born around this time, and EMRAKUL the Aeon Storm soon found a home in Through the Breach and Tron decks. In Legacy, EMRAKUL sees play mostly in 12 post or green post, Sneak Attack, Sneak and Show, and Omni-Tail decks. Oath of Druids decks in Vintage also use EMRAKUL from time to time. It is in Commander where this card made the most impact apparently, since it was banned from the format in December 2010, only about 7 months after the release of Rise of the Eldrazi. Quick fun story. It was around this time that I came across the worst pop stomper I've ever met. He used to go to this little local game store in my city every Friday to challenge players who were just starting with MTG and Commander in order to absolutely destroy them over and over again. I don't remember which Commander did he run, but I do remember one of the main win cons being a really fast EMRAKUL the Aeon Storm. I also remember that, since the play area was outside the actual store, the girlfriend of this dude used to flirt and even get touchy-feely with almost everyone who played along inside the store. I don't know if there's a teaching moment about being a douchey pop stomper here, so I'll let you decide. The second card where EMRAKUL has been represented inside the game came with the Eldritch Moon set, and it is EMRAKUL the Promised End. This card saw play in Ramp, Delirium and Aetherworks Marvel decks before getting the banhammer in January 2017, only about 5 months after its release. So, as you can see, this version of EMRAKUL was actually more problematic in Standard than the bigger, more costly Aeon Storm. In Modern, EMRAKUL the Promised End sees play mostly in Tron and Eldrazi Tron decks. Pioneer was introduced as a format in October 2019, and EMRAKUL got a second chance at reliving its glory days in Standard, before the banhammer, since Delirium and Aetherworks Marvel decks are completely legal and fair game in this new format. They're not as good as they used to be though, and this time the Promised End was overshadowed by this silly duo. In Legacy, EMRAKUL sees play mostly as part of Green Post and Eldrazi Post decks. In Vintage, the Promised End sees play mostly in control decks, but not that much play, since Vintage has access to much faster, much more efficient ways to victory. In Commander, this EMRAKUL is legal, and it is an excellent card in ramp, self-mill and cast for free types of strategies. EMRAKUL and the Eldrazi in general were in part inspired by the work of H.P. Lovecraft. In fact, EMRAKUL somewhat resembles Cthulhu and Azathoth, very prominent figures in Lovecraftian mythos. There are complete threads on the internet where people discuss who would win in a fight, Cthulhu or EMRAKUL, Azathoth or EMRAKUL. You know, because it's the internet. My guess is that Superman or Saitama would win anyways. EMRAKUL has proven to be one of the most popular characters in Magic the Gathering, and not just among my fellow Slivers here at the Sliver Hive. There's tons of fan-made artwork, awesome toys or figurines, whatever this is, and all of it is based on EMRAKUL. This should not be a surprise to anyone. Between the two powerful, multiple format defining cards inside the game itself, and the fact that EMRAKUL is regarded by many as one of, if not the biggest threat to the multiverse inside the lore, this character was destined to shake the MTG franchise as a whole and change it forever. What I personally like about EMRAKUL is that the character is both immediately recognizable and mysterious at the same time. It is certainly not a hero, but could anyone say it's a villain? EMRAKUL seems to be a threat to everyone and everything, of course, but she also seems to have an unknown purpose, and this was made evident by the words she quote-unquote spoke to Jace's mind on Innistrad. What if that purpose is beyond our concepts of good or evil? Sure, wherever EMRAKUL and the other Eldrazi go, everything gets consumed sooner than later. So it is natural to assume that everyone trying to survive would be the heroes or the good guys. Well, what if EMRAKUL is trying to survive herself? We don't even know where she and the other Eldrazi really came from. We don't know a lot about their true nature, and we certainly don't know their endgame. I, for one, find all of this very intriguing. And while a break from EMRAKUL and the Eldrazi in general is obviously necessary for other storylines to flourish, if there's ever a true conclusion to the story of EMRAKUL and the Eldrazi, I'm sure it will be nothing short of spectacular. Interdimensional levels of spectacular. And that's it, my fellow Slivers. Almost everything you ever wanted to know, but were too afraid/lazy to ask about EMRAKUL. If you like this new series here at the Sliver Hive, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, leave your thumbs up, leave a comment below, and above all, please share this video with other Slivers across the multiverse. That is the best way in which you can support your Hive. So take care, my fellow Slivers, we'll gather again on the next video.